Hello everyone and welcome from Frankfurt am Main, Germany to another tutorial. Today we look at this special camera, which is the DJI Action 2. I will explain you in this video how you insert a micro SD card for this camera, how you can connect it with your phone and use the app to control this camera and transfer files and send it to your friends. I will show you how you can change the settings for video. I will show you some example files, how you can take a time-lapse, hyperlapse, slow motion footage, or even pictures. I will show you, or I try to show you everything that is important about this camera. If you have any further questions about something which I might not show in this video, make sure you leave a comment below. Make also sure to follow me on Telegram and Instagram, and if you would like to support my channel, you may purchase this camera either in the dual battery combo or even with the display using the link provided in the video description below. And now we start. Well everyone, here are some useful things for your video projects. I can highly recommend one of these cool things here. That's a suction cup, a really special one, because it features a ball head which turns 360 degrees and it's really solid. Solid build quality that will last for a long time. Here's a simple tripod adapter, which is always nice to have. Then we have this tripod with bendable legs, a mini tripod made of wood, the camera itself, and of course a strap for your head. Now it's time to show you how to connect this camera to the mount adapter which was included. So basically you have two hooks here. If you use both fingers, they go out, and then it's only the magnet down here that connects these two devices with each other. So once again, that's a way to turn off your camera, and not to turn off your camera, to detach the camera. Same principle here. And now it's attached to the tripod. Here's the body from all sides. There's a button and here's a button. If you use the button on top of the camera for 1.5 seconds, so if you tap on it for 1.5 seconds, it will turn on the camera. If you would like to turn off the camera, tap on that button for 1.5 seconds again. So here's the lens itself. And here on the side is the USB Type-C port to charge the camera, and in this case the dual power battery. And here at the bottom side is the slot for the micro SD card, which comes out if you push on the card itself. Make sure you get one with either 128 or 256 gigabytes. If you want to use that card again, just slide it inwards and push it a little bit harder. It will make click. Something that I don't really like about this camera is that you don't have a separate slot for the memory card just on this camera itself. See, there's no slot for the memory card, unfortunately. However, this camera has an internal storage, which we will look at it in a few moments. Let's get started. To turn on the camera, as I said, push on the upper button for about 1.5 seconds. I will go into the settings very quick to the bottom, and I will reset the camera. So it will be basically a brand new camera, like you will find it once you unbox the camera for the first time. The first step after you turn on the camera will probably be a window like do firmware update and stuff, and that's an easy way to do it using the DJI Mimo app, which is for free for Android and iOS. We will have a look inside the app at the end of this video. So here you need to select the language, the menu language of the camera. In this case, I'm using English now. If we slide from the top to the bottom, you have 2 dots up here, which indicate that we are now on the left side of the camera's menu. If we slide from the right to the left, there's an additional menu, and I'm using this section down here to turn down the brightness level of the display. To go out of this menu, make sure you have a look on which side this gray bar is, and then just slide it away like you would do it with your phone. The battery seems to be pretty low. A cool power adapter is this one here, which delivers up to 100 watts. It has 3 USB Type-C ports to charge your phone, your MacBook, or this camera at the same time, and you have an additional USB-A port to charge, for instance, your iPad. By the way, this thing is called power module. Sorry for that. So let's start by going into the camera's menu. Up here is full screen mode off. Now you have these bars, and that's the footage you would expect to see on your computer. If you use the full screen mode itself, it just crops in and you don't have the black bars anymore. My preferred mode is full screen mode off. Here you can lock the screen. If you tap on the screen, it shows you what you need to do to unlock the screen. Here's the memory card and the internal storage. I think the camera itself has about either 21.4 or 22 gigabytes, which isn't too bad. And since I'm using the 128 gigabyte memory card at the moment, I have 118.6 gigabytes remaining. If you would like to clean up your files and you want to format either the internal storage or the SD card, just make sure you tap either on this side or on this side and say format. You can also transfer the files from the internal storage onto the micro SD card, which says export to SD card. Easy. Down here are the settings, which you should have a look at on some of them, for instance. Let's have a look at voice control. To turn on voice control, use the slider up here. Unfortunately, there are only 2 languages available, and here are the voice commands. So let's have a look at it. Start recording. Doesn't work. Start recording. Start recording. So this didn't work well for the first 2 times. Stop recording. Take photo. Start recording. Start recording. Start recording. Stop recording. So these voice commands are useful if you go skiing and you have gloves on and it's hard to attach the camera. Or if you have the camera attached to a helmet, for instance, and you don't have any hand-free to control the camera. However, these voice controls don't work that well at the moment, and by the way, the camera is up to date, so the current firmware version is on the camera. If you want to see if voice control is enabled, have a look at the main screen. It says up here this little symbol that voice control is enabled. To turn off voice control, slide in the menu from the right to the left and shut it off. Vibration notification, I leave that on because I think it's quite useful. If you start recording or if you take a picture with that camera, it does a little beep. If you don't have that beep and you want to have a feedback if the camera is doing something, Therefore, you have a vibration notification. SnapShot is pretty cool. You have some settings that you can use for snapshots. For instance, either hyperlapse, quikclip, or record. A default mode would be record, and I show you what it does. Enable it. Let me turn off the camera. Now the camera is turned off. If you tap on that button for 2 seconds to turn on the camera, it starts recording straight away. If you tap on that button once again, it stops recording and it will turn off the camera after 3 seconds. That can be useful to save some battery. And let me turn on the camera. SD card initializing. The red LED down here indicates that we are recording at the moment. Let me push that button once again to stop the recording. And here it says camera is powering off in 3 seconds. So that is snapshot. That means push that button and it starts recording straight away. If you don't want to record straight away and just want to have the camera on, enable snapshot. If you would like to turn on the camera, for instance, and let it start recording straight away, but not a video, rather a hyperlapse, just select hyperlapse. Wireless connection, that is for your phone. We will have a look at this later on. Video compression. It always gives you a small notification what these are all about. So that's the video codec. If you go to Google and type in HEVC or H264, you get tons of information what that is all about. Sounds. Sometimes you hear that beep, beep, beep. If you wanted to turn that off, use deselect sounds. Grid. Shows you a grid on the screen if you want to adjust the camera towards the horizon. So I will leave sounds on and turn off grid because I don't need it now. Anti-flicker, here you can change between 50 Hz, which is Europe, or 60 Hz, which is in the US, or you just leave it on auto. Auto stop recording temperature. It's set to standard. And I can't select high for whatever reason. If you record your clips either in 4K, 50 or 60 frames, you will soon or later see at around 5 to 10 minutes that the camera is getting way too hot in my point of view, and it will automatically turn off the camera. Continue live stream. That says no last live stream info, start live stream from DJI Mimo. So you need to connect it to the app. Language, if you made a mistake at the first time and you selected English instead of Deutsch, which is German, you can change it later on again. Factory settings, if you want, for instance, sell this camera to a friend and you just want to have it on factory settings, just confirm it down here. Let's go out of this menu, slide from the right to the left to enable either voice control, to adjust the brightness, or orientation lock on. That means if you turn the camera, usually the camera would turn the footage as well. If you lock the orientation, it will not. Pro mode can be interesting later on in the video settings if you want to have, for instance, a cinema style, if you would like to use manual settings, manual ISO, manual shutter speed. So that was the camera's menu. Let's start with the next topic, which is playback. If you have already taken some footage, slide from the left to the right, and that's the playback feature. So for instance, that was a video. If you want to go out of playback, here's that gray bar, slide from the right to the left. To go back into the playback menu, stop that video here. You can see that was a 1080p, so a full HD clip with 30 frames per second. We have 5 clips, that's the 5th out of 5 clips. You have 3 dots here, which indicate that you can slide through these clips or use this feature here to see all of them. If you want to delete these 2, for instance, you can mark them, push on the 3 dots on the upper right side, either to mark them as your favorite or to delete them. Let's speak about the video mode. As you can see on the upper left side, it says we have a micro SD card inserted in the camera. It remains with 118.7 gigabytes. The battery is charging because you see that flash up there, and it's at 68%. Down here you have the current video settings, 1080p, 30 frames per second. To zoom in, use that little symbol down on the right. That was my cat in the background. I don't know if you heard it. And if you zoom in to the footage, that doesn't mean that the footage is getting better since it's a digital crop. It doesn't really zoom in. It's just a crop, which doesn't make your footage better, by the way. Let's speed up a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. To change the resolution, slide from the bottom to the top. It says the first thing, 1080p power reserve, image quality effect. What does it say once again? Image quality affected in power reserve. 1080p 2.7K 16:9. There's also a 2.7K 4:3 format. 4K 16:9. That's the one. That's the kind of setting I would use. And there's also 4K in 4:3. In 4K, you can either shoot in 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, 60, 100 or 120 frames. However, there are some information here in the center which says if you record at 25 degrees centigrade outside air temperature with 4K 16:9, 60 frames, you have a recording duration of only round about 9 minutes because the camera gets too hot, which is a big downside. If you reduce the frame rate, the information does not show anymore. The more frames you use, the more fluent your video footage will look like. It will take also more of your memory. Most of the people are fine with either 4K 25 in Europe or 4K 30 frames in the United States. If you want more fluent video, use higher frame rates. Let's stick with 4K 16:9, 30 frames. To turn off the image stabilizer, tap on off, and then you can see the camera cropped out a lot. There's this rock steady mode, which crops into the footage. If you know the difference between steady and rock steady, leave a comment below. I really couldn't figure that out at the moment. There's horizon balancing, which we don't need for the moment, and I would stick initially with steady. To go out of these settings, use that bar, and if you would like to start to record a video now, tap on the upper button. To stop that video, tap on it again. Or use the bottom here on this side to change the mode. So let's say you would like to take a picture, tap on that button twice, very quick, and select photo mode. We are now in photo mode. Remaining storage on the micro SD card, battery level, the camera is charging at the moment. To zoom in, use that slider down here. The image quality doesn't get better since it's a digital crop. And here are the settings for the pictures you can take or the photos you can take. You can select an aspect ratio of 4:3 or 16:9. And you have a timer down here if you want to take a picture of you in front of a cool location, place the camera somewhere on a tripod, select for instance 5 seconds, tap on the button up there, go in front of the camera, peace, and here's our picture. Slide from the left to the right. Let me see if we can zoom in. No, that doesn't work, but that's the picture. The maximum countdown time is 10 seconds and the minimum 0.5. To turn it off, just select off. Well, that was the photo mode already. Now we jump into quikclip. We're already in there. So quikclip is basically that what it says, recording a quick clip with a pre-selected time, which is indicated already here on the bottom. It says 1080p, 30 frames per second, and that HS is the image stabilizer, which is selected at the moment at horizon steady. Let's say rock steady. It will change down here to RS, 15 seconds. Tap on the shutter release button, and now the camera will only take a clip for a pre-selected time of 15 seconds. Indicated also by that bar down here. And it should stop now. There is one occasion where I would use quick clips, and that's for sport, for instance. If you always want to do the same exercise and you don't want to have a single clip that lasts for an hour or so and where you have to look for exactly that exercise, or if you have a presentation in front of a crowd and your time to present something is limited, for instance, then I would basically practice with these timers down here. You can either select 1080p, 2.7, 4K, basically everything that you had before in video mode. You can select different frame rates, and the difference is that you can use different kind of pre-selected length for that clip. So here is 15 seconds selected, 30 seconds, which is the maximum, or 10 seconds. Let's say 10 seconds, go out. Now the camera is recording for 10 seconds, and if you think that 10 seconds isn't long enough, let me show you something. 4K 50, rock steady 10 seconds, start to record. And if you would like to have an additional 10 seconds, just tap on the plus 10. If you need more than 10 seconds again, tap on it again. Now it's recording for 30 seconds. To stop it, let it run out, or tap on the shutter release button. If I change the settings now, say I would like to record in 1080p with up to 240 frames. It's indicated down here, 1080p, 240 frames. That's the image stabilizer mode, 10 seconds, let's say 30 seconds for this clip. That's it. Pre-selected time, 30 seconds. If you want to record for a minute and you need an additional 30 seconds, tap on the plus 30. Now it says plus 30 seconds. In total, that would equal up to 1 minute. The next feature I would like to show you is slow motion. There we are. If you are doing sports and you know some pretty cool tricks, or you can do some pretty cool tricks which look pretty cool if you have them in slow motion. For instance, if you're a skateboarder, inliner, or a surfer, that's the way to do it without the knowledge of how you need to do it in post, because the camera takes it already in slow motion. There's nothing you need to do except to record. Slide from the bottom to the top. You have some options here, 2.7K, 4K, and in 2.7K and in 4K, it's only possible to record slow motion in 4x speed. And if you use 1080p, it goes up to 8x speed. Let's take one small clip in 4K with 4x speed. So record it now for 3 seconds. And 4 seconds would be a 14-second clip. So that was my hand. Let's see how 1080p 8x looks like. Re-record it again for 3 seconds. And that clip is now 32 seconds long, because that's a slow motion clip in 1080p. The reason why you probably don't have 8x speed in 4K or 2.7K is because the camera might get too hot, or it doesn't support the necessary amount of frame rates. The last topic I would like to speak about is time-lapse and hyperlapse. Down here are all the settings that you require basically for taking some cool pictures or videos. Up here is the resolution. Let's stick to 1080p, which is sufficient for the clip I would like to show you now. Down here you have some presets. Let's say you would select crowds. If you take that camera on a tripod and you're at a busy road, let's say the Times Square in New York, and you want to have the people passing by very quick in a time-lapse video, select this one here. The camera will record for 10 minutes with an interval of 0.5 seconds. You have clouds. Take that camera out in your garden, on a tripod, or anywhere else where it's steady. Face it towards the sky and the camera will record a video clip for 10 minutes with an interval of 2 seconds, and you have that clouds passing by very quick. Sunset, that preset will go for 1 hour with an interval of 3 seconds. Custom, there's an additional information down here. Swipe up to set parameters. And if we do that, you can also use duration, infinity, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, up to 5 hours, or you stay with infinity. If you're with infinity, make sure that the camera is connected to a power source, either at home via this cable here and a power adapter, or you use a power bank. Now to a general rule when it comes to time-lapse footage. If you have something which goes really quick, use a small duration, let's say 10 minutes, with a short interval. Yeah? If you have something that takes ages to see the final result, let's say you put a solar plant on your roof and you know it will probably take 5 hours to finish, use for instance a duration of 5 hours and set the interval to about 10 seconds. And you don't need to calculate that much anymore because the camera does it already for you. The longer the interval, the shorter the final video clip. So 5 hours duration, 40 seconds interval only creates a video of 15 seconds in length. By the way, if you used time lapse, in your car, it doesn't look that good because the camera takes the pictures on a pre-selected interval, and that doesn't look so cool. A time lapse is something which looks pretty cool if you have that camera stationary. If you're moving, you better use hyperlapse, because a hyperlapse is also a time lapse, but it's more fluent and it is stabilized. So the camera basically takes a video and speeds that up. Down here you have that different rates, let's say 2x, 5x, 10x, 15, up to 30x. If you have a really long ride in front of you, let's say you're in your car for 5 hours and you want to show your family up on arrival how your ride was, I would use a rate of x30, for instance. If you are walking through a forest and that entire walk is, I don't know, 20 minutes long, I would use a slower rate of about 5, 10 or x15, because otherwise it's way too fast and the people don't see that much. So the longer something is and you want to show that more quickly, use a higher rate. If the shorter something is, I would use a shorter rate. Or you leave it on auto and the camera decides for you. That's basically one of the coolest features. And I'm a big fan of time lapses and hyperlapses because they are so useful for most video projects because they look so cool and they really enhance your video footage. Make sure you turn on Bluetooth to find the camera and Wi-Fi to transfer files from your camera. The app that you require is called DJI Mimo app, which is available for free for Android and iOS. That's how the app looks like. DJI Mimo, available for iOS and Android, and it's for free. So as you can see, the camera is up here and we're now controlling this camera only using our phone. Push on the app. Once you open up that app, there is most of the time already an indication that a camera has been found. And now it says, wants to join Wi-Fi network, DJI Action, join. Connecting to DJI Action. And now that's a live preview of what the camera sees at the moment. It's upside down, however, it's better to show you what I'm doing if I leave it this way here for a second. So we are now in hyperlapse. If you push that button, the camera starts to record a hyperlapse. If you would like to change modes, just use your finger. So to record a video, nothing easier than that. Push on the red button and now the camera records a video. Also pretty nice, you have the audio levels up here and that is the recording time. With the current settings, I can still record for 2 hours and 26 minutes and 41 seconds if I record in 4K using 30 frames per second. If I push the frame rate to 60 frames per second, I can record for 2 hours and 13 seconds. So it will reduce the storage because it takes more data to record with higher frame rates. To change to 1080p, nothing easier than that. Just use your finger. To take a photo, push on it and photo is taken. To use a timer, go up here. Timer is set now to 1 second. To zoom in, as I said, it doesn't enhance your image quality because it's just a digital zoom. Just use that slider here on this side. Boom, there's your photo. To turn off the countdown, just go to off. You can start also a live stream, which obviously requires a data connection. So you either have it with your provider or you use a local Wi-Fi network. Can be also the Wi-Fi from your hotel or your home network. If you tap on live stream, it gives you some options: Facebook, YouTube, RTMP. Start live stream settings. And here it says starting live stream settings may take a long time. Please wait. The maximum resolution for live streams is 720p, which is really sad because there are a lot of action cams out that do live streams already either in 1080p or 4K. Up here you need to select your current Wi-Fi network. That can be also the one from your hotel. And you need to log in, obviously. Here's the video mode, and if I tap on the 3 dots up here, it gives us some options: grid, ACE, field of view, loop recording, or pro mode. If I tap on loop recording, it gives me either some more settings, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour and max. The loop recording, we are limiting the video length, for instance, to 5 minutes. So if you're doing some sport exercises and you don't want to go through the entire video, and you'd say at minute 35 I found the correct exercise, it takes probably a long time to go through the footage. Just use a loop recording and the video clip will not be longer, for instance, now than 5 minutes. It always deletes the last bit if you record longer than 5 minutes, and it's basically an endless type, like a black box from an airplane. If you're in the Pro mode, you can go up to manual settings and choose between the ISO, shutter speed. Here's also device management, whatever that is. If you have multiple devices, from DJI storage management. If you tap on that, you can format the internal storage or the micro SD card. Voice control, video compression, auto stop recording temperature, Wi-Fi settings, and about. And since we enabled now the Pro mode, we get some additional information down here. White balance is now set to auto. We can use manual white balance. Color mode, you can change to cine-like, that's kind of a flat profile if you want to do color grading at the end. Overexpose alert, histogram, see how that looks like. And if you disable Pro mode, these options are not available anymore. If you go through your files, use the playback button. Here's some clips I was taken in the past. If I want to download that clip, download it either in a trimmed version or full download. It goes pretty quick. You can also pause the download, or what we can do also, we can select some files and make a highlight. You can only show videos or photos. And let me download a photo very quick. So this one was already downloaded. You can delete it now from the camera's internal storage. So these files are now stored on my iPhone. And if you want to share these files now with your friends, use that symbol down here and make sure you're now connected to a local Wi-Fi network or use your mobile data, since the camera is not equipped with a SIM card slot, for instance, to share the files straight away from the camera. So everyone, that's about it. If you have any further questions about this camera or any settings, make sure you leave a comment below. By the way, if you're in Pro mode and if you swipe from the right to the left, During video mode, you can see also these kind of little settings where you can choose between a cine profile, histogram, and the white balance. That's what I forgot to show you at the beginning of the video. If you want to support my channel, feel free to purchase this camera or anything here which I have shown about the equipment via the link listed in the video description below. Make sure to follow me on Telegram and Instagram and see you very soon. Tschüss aus Frankfurt und bis bald.